So it's 3 o'clock. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This session, as you know, is about the summer program Arizona and Israel. My name is David Graysboard. I'm the co-director of the program. My colleague Leonard Hammer is the other co-director, and he is in Israel at the moment. Oh, there's another student. I'm going to let her in. Great. Okay. So again, thank you for joining us. It's nice to see some familiar faces. Let me introduce, first of all, Sam Scherer on your screen. He was part of the program the last time we ran it. It feels like a long time ago now, before the COVID crisis. So now finally that COVID is on its way to being, just an old enemy rather than an old friend. I think we can realistically look forward to offering this again. I also wanted to introduce Martha Castleberry, our business manager, and Jackie Schmidt, our fearless and super helpful JUS staff. They take care of things like, enrolling you in courses when you study abroad, if that needs to happen, handling all the information that flows through my desk that has to do with Judaic studies and with the summer program. Arizona and Israel is a program that we started to offer about 4 or 5 years ago. Again, the last time we ran it was before the COVID crisis, and it was originally intended to bring students to Tel Aviv and to Jerusalem. But this last time, as maybe Sam will tell us, we added a stay in Afula, which is in the, I guess you would say, the central southern Galilee. It's a small city that's between Haifa, about 20 minutes from Haifa, and half an hour from Nazareth. And I think that was a very good thing. For this upcoming summer, I think what we'll do is we'll probably start in the north, in Afula, settle in. It's a very beautiful campus of the Jezreel Valley College there. Hold a few sessions, and then move to the exciting and intense centers of urban life in Israel, namely Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. The model of this program is basically to turn the classroom inside out, right? So yes, we do have some classroom sessions, but much of what we do is we go places. We are outdoors. We are going to see and hear various events, various presentations by people who are involved in modern Israeli life. The course is, of course, ideal for students at U of A because it offers credit, U of A credit, without you having to transfer it into your U of A records. Both Professor Hammer and I are U of A professors, and we offer a standard array of courses. He offers what I consider to be the headliner of the experience. It's a course entitled Human Rights in Israel. That's a course that lets you understand what the human rights law regime is like in Israel, and takes us to various places and various agencies, both governmental and non-governmental, that deal with human rights as they're applied in real life in the country. I teach a course called Jewish Civilization, which is rather a large survey, but rather than doing what I do here every semester at U of A, is I have you guys do field work, go to museums, go to things like plays and so forth, and report on your experiences, maybe make presentations and that kind of thing. For those who are interested in other courses, we can offer independent studies, courses like medieval and early modern Jewish history, which overlaps a great deal with Jewish civilization. And we're very excited because Professor Hammer and I have introduced a new course that is intended to teach you about Israeli culture and entrepreneurship in the large context of Jewish civilization and Jewish history. So we hope that course, which probably will be approved soon, and given the number 396 or 496, we hope that will be an entree into internships. So if you have, I was just mentioning to Al-Hamza, if you have, for example, an interest in STEM, in math and engineering, so forth, we could try to set you up with an Israeli company or an Israeli, let's say, academic institution, so you can get credit for that experience. And your background would be provided by the course itself. And then, of course, either Professor Hammer or I and or somebody from your home department would be supervising that internship experience. Okay, so typically the program is about a month and a half or a month and a quarter, let's say. This cycle, we have planned to start it in the middle of June, and I hope that that gives people a chance to, to recover from the spring semester, get organized, get a plane ticket and so forth, and then move on. I plan to be in Israel earlier than June or maybe early June so that I can receive everybody at the airport, make everybody feel at home, and start the experience on the ground, okay? Now, this program has some what you might call preparatory workshops. Some have to do with health and safety and so forth. Others are specific to the program, and those you would do online or in person at U of A or wherever you happen to be during the early summer. And there's like an extra portion that's at the end of the program once you return to the United States, just to sew up things like submitting work, polishing your final exams and that kind of thing, okay? But so far it's been a very, very successful program from the point of view of quality. It typically is a small program, and that means that both Professor Hammer and I have a great deal of time, and we actually enjoy dealing with all the participants. And hopefully we can make it, we can shape it in a way that will maximize your enjoyment of it and you're taking advantage of the opportunities to live in Israel. So I mentioned that Jackie Schmidt sent you guys a basic information sheet. I'm also wondering whether you have any questions about the program and how it runs, both for me and for Sam. Sam can give you a student's perspective, and we can go from there. Any questions? Any concerns? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
You mentioned that it, like for non-Judaism studies, what's the opportunities for someone like myself in STEM?
Okay, so there are a number of opportunities. Okay, let me mention the most important. Number one is we could design, with the help of your home department, be it engineering or math or both, some kind of independent study course. So that's the IS or independent study option. In addition to that, you could take the new course that we have planned. It's not yet approved, but we anticipate that it will be, right? And that is a course specifically on entrepreneurship in the context of Jewish and Israeli history. And that would be that would give you at least the option to continue in Israel after the program with an internship, right? So the whole course would be teaching you about entrepreneurship, but also setting you up with a specific place, a placement for you to work in. Typically the internships would be unpaid, but I think we can, I mean, the earlier we plan, the more we can, work out some possible scenarios, maybe raise some funds to have you pay for certain expenses. I can tell you that I'll be in Israel after the program concludes. So if it came to it, I mean, I could host one student at a time until that student is placed in an internship, okay? And I mean, I'll be given I have a thing going on with the Hebrew University. I'm supposed to be given an apartment there. So that's where I anticipate that I will be, okay? So those are two, independent study and the 496 or 396 course on entrepreneurship. Besides that, of course, you can take our usual array of courses, which are sometimes cross-listed in religious studies, history. In the case of human rights in Israel, I believe, I'm not sure, but I think it's also cross-listed with SGPP, political science. And if you wanted specific credit that's not math related or not engineering related, we could talk also to communications, anthropology, Near Eastern studies, etc., for credit in those departments. Some departments already know that our students are going to want credit in those departments. In some cases, we need to approach them and say, hey, here's the course. maybe, given the content of the course, you are willing to offer the student credit toward the U of A graduation. That make sense? Okay, good. Now, usually I'm asked about the cost of the program. Unfortunately, living in Israel is a very expensive proposition, especially for natives. I read somewhere that, housing prices over the last decade have gone up 375%, which is, it's like I don't know, Tokyo or something like that. So that is really the main cost. Other than that, things are very reasonable. And I should let you know that Judaic Studies on a yearly basis has some support for students. In other words, support that we as a department administer and award to people. In addition to that, the faster you fill out an application and you commit yourself to the program, the faster I can raise additional funds. Just to give you a cautious but still very pleasant bit of information about that, I don't believe I've ever had a student pay more than half of the cost of the experience. If you look at the program itself, it's $9,000 or thereabouts, plus about $1,000 to $2,000 in airfare, right? So let's say $11,000 to $12,000 total, all right? So most people, I've been able to cover $6,000. In some cases, I've been able to cover more because, these people have got, outside scholarships or support via the Pell Grant program or what have you. In other words, I understand that cost is substantial, so I want to do everything we possibly can to cover you. And in addition to that, of course, put your safety and your health on the front burner. For that, we have the U of A infrastructure, which gives us access to medical insurance, to medical facilities, and to, if need be, some sort of, the possibility of traveling back to the United States if things are not safe. But things are generally very safe. And they're also very entertaining, I dare say. Sam, do you want to add anything, any sort of memories you have or anything that you think students should know?
Yeah, I would definitely add that both yourself and Dr. Hammer are very accommodating and willing to work with you and very aware of the stresses of travel. And I don't know, I had a lot of positive experiences on the trip, and I had a lot of fun memories, like going to see a SoFair. And
this is a guy who prepares religious texts, and he does this with calligraphy that's a very, very old expertise. Yeah,
it was very cool. So just having a lot of time to yourself, having a lot of time to get the work done and take care of yourself and explore the cities that you're in. And I don't know, I like the program a lot.
Great. Thank you, Sam. Now, one thing that you reminded me of is that I will have a budget to employ somebody to give you guys extracurricular support. What I mean by that is that I want, for example, somebody to be able to tell you, oh, here are some great places to go. Here's how you get food. This is where you get food, let's say on the Sabbath in Jerusalem, which is usually just dead, Here's how you get to these places. Here's a fun place to hang out. This is how you get your bus passes, your train passes, and that kind of thing. Okay. So I'm curious, is there anybody who has been to Israel among you? No? Okay. Well, as you may know, it's a country that's in ways very, very Western, and in other ways, it's sort of like a layer cake of a lot of history. One of the reasons that we insist on bringing people to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv is that these are two, in many ways, drastically different cities. Jerusalem is the hub of multiple multiple layers of civilization, both Jewish and non-Jewish. Tel Aviv, by contrast, is a relatively young city. It was founded in 1905, and it's really the hub of Israeli media, Israeli showbiz, much of the high-tech sector, and a great deal of culture. It's a very secular city, whereas Jerusalem tends to be a much more religious. It's a diverse city, but the religious, or very religious component of the population is very prominent. Of course, Jerusalem is the seat of government. So one of the things we do is we go to government ministries, to the parliament, which is called the Knesset, to the Supreme Court. And we take tours there where you can get a sort of a very specific feel of how the country is run. What else? I particularly enjoy, going to see folks who are really on the trenches of a lot of what's going on in Israel today, like media, inter-ethnic relations, specific legal cases or legal conundra. And of course, as a historian, I always appreciate those who have some sort of historical view. The last time when Sam came with us, we were going to get a personal, how do you say, an audience, if you will, a personal lecture by a fellow by the name of Meridor. What's his first name? Not Yaakov Meridor, but I forget his first name. But anyway, he used to be the foreign minister of Israel, and at the last moment, I think we were all sick or something like that, or several of us got sick, so we couldn't go. But that's the kind of thing that you can anticipate, And people who, let's say, who are, big names in the United States, who would be invited to the United States to give, gold-plated talks and so forth, are there for us to visit and to chat with, almost on a personal level. It's a very informal country. It has a sort of a familial feel to it. So, you can, if you see your favorite or your least favorite politician in the street, you can say, oh, hey, how you doing? Why don't you come over to my table? Do you want some coffee? Let me complain to you about this, that, or the other, that kind of. So, by the way, it's a great country to have coffee if you like coffee and tea. This is the one corner of the West, I think, where Starbucks has not penetrated because the local coffee is just so good. So there you have it. Anyway, so any questions so far? Anything that, well, let me put it this way. What do you think you'd like to do or see? I mean, what brings you to the program? Perhaps it's something I can develop for you.
This is Carla. I was
Hi,
just
Carla.
wondering, hi. I was just wondering if any agricultural studies, internship options, or even viewing some of the agriculture in Israel is such a dynamic industry there.
It's a very good question. Thus far, we have never had a student with that specific interest, but I can see that, Israel is a very important case study of agricultural development. It so happens that my son is currently in a kibbutz, which still has a very strong agricultural, let's say, economy, right? Because many of the kibbutzim have moved on into industry or, some sort of service providing and so forth. But we could definitely explore the possibilities. And if you're interested in working with, learning from, and so forth, the people in the agricultural sector, I can definitely see to it that it happens. Another aspect that I would look into right away, and notice, by the way, how it works here. You state your interest and then I act. Usually a program is there for you, it's carved in stone, and that's all, right? And then you either like it or you don't like it. Here it's different. Here you commit to the program and then I get you funding, and then I shape the program to fit your needs and your interests. So what I was going to say is that Professor Hammer's wife is an important geologist from the University of California, Santa Barbara. And she has extensive contacts, contacts and actual research projects going on with something called the Arava Institute, which is in the South. It's a center which focuses on not just agriculture, but really arid lands management. We also, in Judaic studies, have an affiliate by the name of Sharon Migdal, who works in arid lands. She's like the #1 expert, one of the world experts really in arid land management and agriculture certainly in Arizona, probably in the world. So we could sit with her and say, hey, here's Carla, this is her background. What can we build for her? So the answer in short, Carla, is yes. I don't have anything built at the moment, but between now and June, we can certainly get something going.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, anything else? Now, I'm sure that all of you like the idea of going to the beach. That's why I never, ever give up on Tel Aviv, and why I always want our promotional literature to feature some image of Tel Aviv. We didn't do it last time, but I would like to at least hold out the possibility of having some classes, some class sessions at the beach. That's just my fantasy, you know? Now, needless to say, Sam and company did go to the beach plenty of times. Yeah, it's always there. Okay. Anything else? Anything else I haven't covered? What, Martha and Jackie, can you think of anything else that I should talk about?
I can't think of anything except just to reinforce how helpful we want to be in supporting you both financially and academically.
Absolutely. If you've already filled out an application, by the way, the application is online. It's very simple, very quick. We ask you, among other things, for a photograph and for some sort of personal narrative. And that's because the moment you enter an application, I get mobilized. I take your picture and your narrative, and I present it to friends of my department, people who are very interested in having students from Arizona and from the United States go to Israel and learn. And they will support us, as indeed they did when Sam went to Israel. All of these people are not only wealthy individuals, they also understand the importance of our mission, which is to introduce you to a country so that you can grow. The purpose is never to propagandize anybody. We're not here to do, heritage tourism or anything like that. We're here to do academic research, but in a very active and very, really a very enjoyable, very fun key. It's important that you fill out an application ASAP. Now, you're not committed to anything when you fill out an application, but it does trigger that process whereby I get as much money as I can to fund your experience. One thing to consider is that you should also try to recruit other people, friends, for example, from other colleges, if you want, to sign up for the program. So the more people we have, the more students we have, the lesser or the lower the cost to you as an individual. So that's also a good way to buy in. What else? Oh, never let your, let's say, your GPA or your class status be an inhibition, an impediment. Officially, the university wants people to have a 2.5 GPA or above. But if you don't have a 2.5, we just need the name and email address or phone number of a person who can testify to the fact that you're a mature and reliable person and would do okay abroad, Also, the university typically doesn't like to have freshmen in study abroad programs, but this year, my department has earned, you might say, a great deal of autonomy as to how we run the program. So I would be happy to consider applications from freshmen or from first-year students, I should say. They're not all men. And we can go from there, okay? In general, if you have questions as you plan out your summer or whatever, let me know. I very much reiterate Martha's point that we are flexible. We try to help you as much as we can. If I'm not mistaken, a couple of our last students in the program arrived either early or late, and that's okay. We can always get you caught up with classwork and other experiences. Okay. I think the program really takes care of itself in the sense that it's so stimulating. I would say in some ways it's hyper stimulating. So the processing of the experience yields the work in a very natural and almost automatic way, as distinct from what happens here at the U of A, where, for example, I assign a paper or something and students have to go home, sort of scratch their heads and look at a blank piece of paper and think, okay, so what do I need to gather together to start writing, to start my formation of ideas? And here it is, I mean, I try to deliver assignments that are so sort of such natural extensions of what we do out in the field that you can just start writing something in the nature of journals, like, this is what I did, this is what I thought, this is what I'm thinking of in relation to this other lecture that we saw, or this other experience that we had. So you know, the work in I try to make it so that the work doesn't feel like work. It feels more like you just sort of, you know, sitting at home with a nice, you know, with a nice cold drink and a pita or something, and meditating about what's going on with you, what you think about the people and the cultures that you've seen. Incidentally, one of the reasons that I like to go to Afula as opposed to, let's say, you know, I don't know, another place in Tel Aviv, is that the college in Afula, the Jezreel Valley College, serves not only Haifa, which is a major Israeli city, and which is very close, but also Nazareth, which has a preponderant majority of Arab citizens of Israel. And so it's very important for me that you get to know the various cultures of Israel, the Druze minority, the Arab substantial minority, we're talking about 20 to 25% of the overall population, and the various sub-ethnic Jewish groups like the Ethiopian community, the various Eastern or Oriental communities, the Ashkenazi communities, and so forth, okay? So I don't know, I'm a little bit out of steam, but I'm wondering if you have any other questions or comments or concerns. Maybe I should just ask you to introduce yourselves, because I don't know anybody other than Sam. Alhamdulillah, you already told me you're a math and engineering guy. Do you want to say anything else? I mean, anything else that's colorful that will help people remember who you are and maybe say, I'd like to go to Israel with Al-Hamza. Yeah.
Well, it's really other than being like the math and science nerd, I'm also like I've been around a lot of places in the world, and like I would tour a lot. Like I just don't like to sit at home, and you know,
Yeah.
if I get to do my homework outside in a public area, or in a coffee shop, or in a hookah lounge, or in a, you know, in a public place. Plus my Arabic and my English are not too bad, so
Excellent.
in communication with others, I can, you know, handle my own and handle others a lot too.
I think you will be a very popular person in Israel. Okay, not only are there multiple, you know, maybe thousands of hookah lounges, you have the best Turkish coffee in the immediate area, and of course, knowing Arabic will open up entire vistas. So that's wonderful. Ashley, do you want to tell us something about yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley, and I am actually in the U of A campus in Yuma. So I'm all the way over here. My major is family studies, and my minor is human services. And I love traveling. And just like Almanza said, I also really like, I don't like to be at home. I like to be either like doing my homework outside or going somewhere. But for me, like being out is like the best thing. I just like to travel. I like to know new places. I like to meet new people. I'm very extroverted.
Very
so
good.
Yeah.
Excellent. How is it in Yuma right now? I mean, here it's getting cool. Is it still super warm for you guys?
It just got cool yesterday. So
okay.
I'm enjoying it so much, but like right now it's still kind of hot, but in the mornings and in the afternoons, it's way better.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. A fun fact is that, you know, some of my best students have come from Yuma. There's a fellow who teaches at the local high school, or one of the local high schools, who is really has been one of my favorite students in the 20 plus years that I've been here. So that's great. I look forward to seeing your application. I think, let's see. I'm going to look at the chat here because I think somebody just posted something. Okay, Tiffany loves pita. So Tiffany, why don't you tell us something about yourself?
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I'm a single mom. I'm driving currently in Northern California. Hey.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, and I'm a law major at the U of A. I work for an
Great.
attorney here in
Mhm.
Ukiah,
Okay.
and I am really interested in international law and international relations. I have
Fantastic.
an associate's degree in it from the Santa Rosa Junior College here,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up getting a political science class this semester that was modern Israel, and I have a lot of friends who are Jewish, and we do a lot of scripture study on our own. I've always just been drawn to Hebrew,
Right.
and so just it all has come tying together with this class and the timing for the study abroad program, and I'm hoping it all works together. But that's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I realize that you're driving, you have a little one in the back, so thank you for making time. I think, you know, there's no question that Professor Hammer is the person for you. I mean, this is a guy who will really deepen your study of law, and particularly in the area of the administration of holy sites and human rights. So thank you for that information. Carrie or Kieri, do you want to tell us something about yourself?
Hi, yeah, sorry I showed up late. I also had to pick up my
That's okay.
child at 3, so
Okay.
unfortunately I missed a good bulk of it. But what caught my eye was the excavation part. I'm actually in the
Yeah.
School of Anthropology and then studying archaeology, and then my minor is in Minas. So, and I've
Great.
taken actually a class with Sam as well.
Excellent,
And so
excellent.
I'm definitely interested in Israel.
Okay, terrific. Listen, one piece of good news in regards to archaeology is that I've now sort of reestablished contact with Matt Winter, who is a PhD from your department. He has been working on a dig, as you guys say, in the north, and the plan is to go and see him there and to have him tell us, you know, basically lecture to us about archaeology and what they're doing over there. So that's wonderful.
Cool. I had him over summer too, so I know him.
Wonderful.
So great.
Okay, fantastic. So
Yeah.
that's all. It's all in the family now. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So Hannah, do you want to tell us something about yourself?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm majoring in natural resources with an emphasis in wildlife conservation.
Mhm.
I actually spent a couple weeks in Israel in 2019, and
Excellent.
I would love to go back and be in like a more academic setting.
Sure.
And kind of like everybody else said, I really love traveling and like experiencing new cultures. So
Okay, perfect. Perfect. In what context were you in Israel? Was this an organized program or you were just traveling or what?
no, just traveling with my family.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, did you go to the usual, you know, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, that kind of thing?
Yeah, all the main very touristy
Yeah, no,
places.
they may be touristy, but we still do some of them because they're fascinating, you know. So that's great. So having that experience, I think, is a great help. You know, it won't feel like, you know, you are thrust into a new planet. You know, and generally speaking, I mean, I look, I'm a many times I've been an immigrant, not just a traveler, but an immigrant. So I know what I know what culture shock is like, and hopefully we can negotiate it. I think it's one of the you know, going through it is one of the guarantors of success, because once you're through and once you feel like, okay, I know my way around, I know what's going on, this is my life now for the time being, I think you can just take off and just fly. So excellent. Listen, we're starting early this time, partly because of COVID. I'm guardedly optimistic, but still pretty optimistic that the airport will reopen by the time we have to be there. And you know, again, I can't overemphasize that the moment I have your application is the moment that I can actually start to increase the chances that we'll be able to fund a great portion, or at least a substantial portion of your experience. Okay. Now, for additional information on health and safety, and let's say financial aid that's not available through my department, you can contact the Office of Study Abroad. It's called UA Global, so you can just Google UA Global. And you can also, you know, file your FAFSA, your FAFSA, which is the usual application for requesting state-based and federal-based aid. So essentially, you would get your package of aid for the summer as you would if you were to stay in Tucson and take summer courses, okay? So however the cookie crumbles, to use a cliche, I think we can make it work, all right? So unless you have any other questions, let me just thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I promise that in Israel, it's not quite this way. You get to do a lot more than sit there and listen to me. And I hope to field your questions and to see your application soon. Okay, and thank you, Sam. Nice to see you again as usual. Oh, by the way, if you want like the skinny, you know, and you know, you can just wait until I'm gone, and you can ask Sam whatever he wants to tell you in private. You know, like, okay, so is this guy really as crazy as he looks, and that kind of thing. And I have to say, another student who came with us, albeit from ASU, is Claire Nyman, and she is currently working at the U of A Hillel. So you can reach out to her. You just Google U of A Hillel, reach out to her and have her tell you what the experience was like. Both Sam and Claire were terrific travelers, terrific partners in this adventure. So I hope that you will be as well. Okay, great. So if anything else comes up, let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to let you guys go, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you for having us. Take care.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.